Ho! Hey everybody, how's it going? That's right, once again, totally local podcast covering all the news and information all in and around the Jersey Shore area, Monmouth County, Ocean County. Of course, this is the quarantine edition. We're all sequestered. Zoom stock has reached its all-time high. Everyone is Zooming. And it makes it actually kind of easier to get these things done because we all have busy lives. Some of us have teething babies. Other people have, Corona parties to go to in Rumson. But anyway, we're all here. And I have some guests, some lovely guests. Aaron, as has been my rock for the last few weeks.
Thank you.
Really has helped me kind of organize these things, as far as the Corona edition goes. And Aaron Levine, of course, from LG Insurance Agency. How's it going, Aaron?
Awesome. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. We also have Joe Asterita from Bonfiglio and Asterita, attorneys at law. How's it going, Joe?
All right. How you doing?
Good. And then last but not least, we got Evan Beach from Equity Prime Mortgage. And we're going to get into some discussions in regards to obviously your home, local business. These things are obviously totally interconnected, especially with what's going on or what people are anticipating will be happening or what we have been seeing happen with the economy. I know a few people that have been laid off. I know a lot of big businesses that, have been scrambling to figure out what the right thing to do is. And a lot of small businesses that want to know or, need to know exactly what they can be doing in order to, help themselves get through this. So, Aaron, I just kind of, I'd like to kind of start it off, kind of with you as far as, disaster loans. I think we touched on it a little bit before, but I mean, if there's anything that's kind of come to light, since the last time we discussed it, just let us know.
Yeah, we touch on this every week, and it changes every 10 minutes, and it's still kind of evolving. But towards the end of last week, the SBA went live through physical banks, through actual banks, to provide the loans, grants for the payroll protection program. I'm yet to see a dime. I'm yet to know anybody that's gotten a dime yet, but hopefully those applications will come through at some point, and people will start getting the money that they need to keep businesses operating. I know the New Jersey EDA went live last week with some grant money, $1,000 to $5,000, I think it was, for small business grants. So we're just watching the changes and seeing how it's evolving. We're watching the legislature on any business interruption coming through. New Jersey's not looking so good, but maybe other neighboring states will get it through and keep on moving. So we're just trying to stay in touch with our clients and keep the business side moving forward. But on the personal line side, we're writing a few new homeowners policies. Some people are still buying houses, and that's why I figured we bring Evan and Joe on and see what's going on. Evan's our resident mortgage expert, mortgage professional, as he likes to call himself, except he's quarantined himself in Florida.
Good idea. Good choice.
Surprised he chose the living room and not the pool side.
Doesn't want to rub it in too much.
He said that like mockingly, like it was a bad thing that I quarantined myself in Florida.
So it's more jealous than anything
Yeah.
else. I mean, honestly, where does it come from? Let's talk about jealous. What did you do this week, Evan? Last week?
Oh yeah,
What happened on the
big
golf course?
hole-in-one story. It only took me 25 years. Finally got a hole-in-one. Played golf on Saturday.
Dude's
Sounds like fake news. I don't know.
down.
Hey, I got 3 witnesses that signed the scorecard.
I don't know. Is the golf course open or closed? What's the governor say? I don't know.
It's open. Can't touch the pin. Everybody's got their own cart. Can't go near anyone. So we'll see. See how long that lasts.
You got to send a letter to the governor of Florida to make sure it's a legal hole-in-one. See what he's.
Yeah, I know, right? I got off easy. I didn't have to buy drinks afterwards. Nothing. It's open.
Nice.
So that's congratulations. I'm glad you're staying warm and safe and enjoying fresh air out there.
Thank you.
As far as mortgages are concerned, let's start off with people that have mortgages now. Is there anything that's going on right now as far as legislation or any kind of tips or anything you have as far as people staying on top of their mortgage or seeing any relief or anything like that?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the word relief, because just this time last week, beginning of last week, they instituted the New Jersey Mortgage Relief Act, if you will. And to call it relief is a stretch, and not to get into the specific ins and outs of it, but they're allowing what's called forbearance. And forbearance, very simply, is a delay of your mortgage payment. It is not a get out of jail free card. They're not just wiping away mortgage payments. They're not deferring mortgage payments. They're allowing what's called forbearances. So very simply, it's a delay. So if you're not going to pay your mortgage and you go into a forbearance program, whether it's 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, that will be due at some time. Now, there's a lot that remains to be seen as far as how they're going to collect that money once it's due, if it's going to be a balloon payment, if it's going to get stretched out over a 1 year period. It's really a case-by-case basis. So we've been really taking the stance of, if you have the ability to continue to pay your mortgage, pay your mortgage. That's the whole point of the stimulus packages and all those other great things that Aaron was talking about that no one's seen a dime for yet. But that's the reasoning of the stimulus packages, is to keep everybody as current and paying bills and feeding their families with that money. So, but again, it will make sense for some people, but it's got to be used as kind of a last resort. So that's kind of the latest and greatest of what we're dealing with right now. And just like any other politicians out there, they couldn't have rolled it out in a worse way and used worse verbiage, calling it relief and calling it forgiveness and
government at work.
Using all these words that just simply weren't true.
So not much.
Yeah,
not much relief.
Yeah. It's election year at work. Yeah, it's an election year at work. Like, hey, look what we did for you. Remember we gave you that relief back in April. So.
It's kind of crazy too that even this crisis, there's a lot of people that are it's like we're all going through this. All businesses are going through this. Everybody, mostly everybody has mortgages, got to pay rent. They have their bills and stuff. And I mean, that's kind of, where the focus should be. Kind of like what you're saying. It shouldn't be on, the election or anything like that. It should be really about kind of getting everyone settled and really preparing for, what's to come. As far as, real estate, have you guys seen anything as far as like, Joe, as far as what you're doing or what you're involved with on a real estate perspective, what have you been doing for your clients, or what have you been kind of advising them to do?
Well, I'll tell you, they say necessity is the mother of all invention, right? So we've had to adapt pretty dramatically to continue to be able to close real estate transactions in New Jersey. Every closing I'm doing right now is via Zoom. We're doing this by video conference with title closing partners. Normally that's my opportunity to meet my clients at the closing table and shake their hand. And now we're not even getting to do that, but we're making the deals happen.
That's cool.
But it takes a lot of effort to coordinate all the parties to get it to the closing table and make that work.
So are people like pulling away, or are they getting cold feet, or is it kind of everyone I've talked to, as far as from a real estate perspective, whether it be commercial or residential, it seems like the things that were in play are kind of still going through. Have you seen the same thing, or have people kind of been a little more nervous to kind of pull the trigger on things?
Well, I'm still seeing deals coming in. There's been a bit of a hiccup on that, but it's continuing to move forward. I'm still getting brand new transactions that we're beginning the attorney review process on pretty much daily. Mm-hmm. What I am seeing, though, is the pending deals. Everybody's trying to huddle up and take stock and see what's going to be delayed. What do we have to do to get this done? Because if you consider what you have to do to complete a transaction, whether it's home inspections, whether it's municipal inspections by the township, to come in and do certificates, inspections for certificates of occupancy or fire and smoke certifications and so forth, there's hiccups, and every town is different. They've all got their different rules, how they're applying this. They're changing them, like Aaron said earlier, almost daily. So we're having to keep up on top of that. So it's more been a daily management of every single file on steroids.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. As far as like, if you've had your inspections done, that's great. But if you're in the middle of that process, this has got to be kind of a headache. I mean, do you let an inspector come in and then you just wait outside in a tent somewhere, or like, it seems like it would be like kind of like what you're saying. It's just kind of made the process a little more difficult.
Yeah, I could tell you, one of the biggest obstacles of the municipal inspections at the end of the deal that normally are happening as you're going through the process, the closing process. Buyers are being faced with the prospect of having to close on a purchase without having a municipal inspection ahead of time, and they're signing something that says, "Oh, we're comfortable with the condition of the premises and we're holding the town harmless for any problems."
Yeah.
Then what do you do if you close? They're going to come back in 30, 60 days later, maybe when the dust settles from all of this, to inspect. And what if you have problems?
Yeah.
Who's responsible for that? So we're literally managing that on every single file with every single client, working up agreements with sellers. It's a process. So yeah, it's still going forward, but it's every deal's become certainly more time intensive and stressful for parties involved to make it work.
Sorry, Andrew. Joe,
go for it. What were you gonna say?
You practice in New York also. Your main office is in New York. What are the differences between transactions in New York and New Jersey right now? What's going on over the bridge?
Well, from what I'm seeing, my office is located in Staten Island, Richmond County. There's an absolute slowdown, if not standstill, on most real estate transactions that haven't already begun. So on new deals starting, if they're moving forward, they're inching along. Realtors aren't allowed to do showings. It's a very, very different experience in New York than we're seeing here in New Jersey. Deals that are in place are very difficult to get closed. There's much more restrictive practices in place if you're able to do them at all. Remote closings are possible, but also more of a clunky process. New York, traditionally, everybody comes to the closing, whereas here in New Jersey, sellers traditionally don't very often at all anyway. So it's more of an easier model to manage the crisis here in New Jersey than it is in New York for sure. What I'm seeing is if we get a new contract in, maybe we're able to circulate a new contract because my team is all working predominantly remotely. We were equipped for it, but a lot of places aren't. And we're having trouble getting contracts circulated, signed, returned to us. It's a bit of a different process, and we're seeing it proceeding much more difficult. Yeah. We also handle mortgage closings in New York, which we're continuing to do, and we're having remote closings, notaries, curbside, you name it, to get it done. But it's happening. We're getting those closings done in New York.
Curbside. You're going through the drive-through at Popeyes.
Feels like that, right?
Like here's my license. Notarize this through the drive-through window. It's awesome.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, like when I'm dealing with on a lot of deals, just to touch on how I deal with mortgage issues, is I have clients who are potentially looking at these closings getting pushed out for inspection issues, whatever it might be, and they always have to be considerate of when does their mortgage commitment expire, if they're locking in their interest rate, and those are issues that Evan could jump into and manage that with clients, how to best view those issues. We're dealing with it on nearly every single transaction. It's constant. So having people you can reach out to is important at this time.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Joe. And it's funny, I just had that happen just yesterday. I have a closing that's supposed to take place basically a week from now, and same exact thing, mimicking what you just said with CO inspections, final CO inspections. Mm-hmm. And this particular buyer is going to, basically waive the rights, like you mentioned, and take on all the burden himself. So it's become a very common thing. So yeah, we're dealing with it on a daily basis too. And, rate locks are another one too, where that particular deal that I'm referring, has a rate lock that expires on the 20th. So if it pushes past that, obviously we're going to have rate lock extension fees and issues as far as that goes. So yeah, I mean, it's legitimately a case by case basis now. And we're trying to do the best we can for all the clients that are existing and still you mentioned, deals coming through and contracts coming through. I just had 2 more get under contract today. So people are still out there, looking around and buying. And I think people that, thankfully, the people that are still employed and still can qualify to buy are still looking and buying. I mean, the thing with our area, with Monmouth County, I think it's a little more insulated when things like this go down, because there's so much demand. There's so much pent up demand going into this a month ago. And it's crazy to think that this is just a month old, basically. But there's so much demand going into that there's, and we're cutting probably 20 to 30% of the buyer pool out because of the fact that those people might not be employed, or they're furloughed, or they're laid off, and they're going to be going back to work. So, we are losing a little bit of that buyer pool, but still there's demand in Monmouth and in Northern Ocean counties, in the areas that we predominantly work in, because there's not a lot of property to begin with. So there's certain fractions that are going to get more hit than others. I spoke with Aaron about this too. I think the smaller priced homes are going to get hit a little bit more than the mid-priced. So those ones that are 150, 200,000 compared to the ones that are at 300, 350,000, I think are going to get hit a little more from this, from the market trends. But yeah, I mean, we had a crazy March, and I think industry wide, I talked with Aaron about this just yesterday, like industry wide, every single person I talked to had their best March ever, which is, crazy. And I think thankfully the spring market hit very early this year. The spring market seemed to hit in the middle of January. So a lot of those closings were then taking place in March, which quite honestly might have saved a huge portion of this industry. The fact that went down and shook out like that. But I mean, this is all going to be delayed. We're going to feel this probably a month or two from now, more so than we're going to feel it obviously in March and for April. I mean, my April's been we're very, very busy. So I think as this lingers on, we'll probably feel it, further down the road, be that 2 months, 3 months from now.
Yeah, I mean, the inventory wasn't there to begin with. The inventory for real estate is just so super low, and there were so many people putting in cash offers that even if a percentage of the buyers kind of go away, I'm wondering if people are just kind of scrambling to just get things done, get things over, find out what the deals are. Because I mean, I'm obviously no expert, but it doesn't seem like to me. I mean, I guess eventually we're going to get hit with it, and the inventory will be opened up a little bit. But it's so congested in this area, and people want to buy in this area for so much. I'm wondering how much, it's not going to be like '08. It's not going to be like after Sandy, when there was, just so many investment opportunities going around. It seems like kind of like what you're saying, that certain percentages of the market, might open up a little bit, but I can't see, I don't know. I can't see there being much of a, I don't want to say much of a change. Obviously there's going to be a change, but it seems like it's not going to open up where we have like a ton of inventory, like kind of we've had, in years past, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
And to your point, you mentioned 08 and 09, the big difference from then to where we're at now is that this is not anybody's fault. This is strictly from a virus. 08, 09 was, I was in the mortgage business at that point. That was the mortgage industry's fault. That strictly was the mortgage industry's fault, and also appraisers' faults. There was fake house values. There was faulty mortgages being written. You had a pulse. Here's $400,000. The big difference where we're at now is this is strictly from a virus standpoint that just put everything to a halt. So, again, there's a couple different trains of thought, but once they quote unquote kind of turn the faucet back on, the economy ramps back up, there should be a much sharper curve getting back to, I don't want to call it normal, but back to somewhat semblance of a normal economy at least. Whereas in 08, 09, it was a complete shattering industry wide that took years to get better. So, I mean, the thought is now that, whether it's a month from now, 2 months from now, once businesses open back up, and again, things will change, it's not going to be immediate. Hey, yeah, open the doors of your restaurant and you're back to where you were in middle of February. But I think there's an easier path to get back to a somewhat of a stable economy, whereas 0809 was just a complete, failure of the mortgage industry, of the real estate industry, of the appraisals, you name it, it was a problem. So I think that's the big difference.
Joe, who do you have with you, Joe? Who's there?
Oh, that's the missus. She's having her own little watch party in the next room. Cocktail, apparently.
You made 1:30 available to me. This seems too early.
Awesome.
No, we're on Corona time now. It's totally
right.
No doubt.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Just to dovetail on that for a moment, like I'm looking at the size of this aid package, right? This relief package that the government's passed. I mean, they're trying to circulate something like $2 trillion back through the economy to keep things rolling. It's the largest in the history ever. So, they're injecting a lot of that right back in. And I think as people are able to get freed up, a lot of that's going to be put to work. That's what I'm thinking. With what I'm seeing, if I had seen a complete slowdown, nobody's doing deals or anything else, I might question that. But on a daily basis, new deals are still coming in. I have clients making offers with realtors in New Jersey by FaceTime. They're literally doing showings by FaceTime, and people are putting bids in. And maybe, like you said, in this area in New Jersey, maybe it's a little more of a bubble with respect to the demand and all that. But I can't imagine that's only limited to our immediate area.
Do you think that, like, as far as like an indicator or a possible indicator, do you feel like real estate, and maybe this is a stupid question, but like, do you feel like real estate is a pretty good indicator or litmus test as far as how the from real estate to other businesses and the economy at large, is that a good indicator to see where people's mindsets are or where we're kind of going towards? Because if you can't buy a house, you can't rent a property, you can't lease your property. It seems like that's where kind of the buck would stop or start, depending on how you look at it there.
Yeah, it's a vital part of the economy. I mean, that's why, like Joe just mentioned, the government stepping in and spending an ungodly amount of money over the last 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, they were, and again, to kind of piggyback on what I was just mentioning as far as 0809 versus today, the government is now pumping money into mortgage-backed securities and into this the stimulus package, whereas in 0809, they were bailing out a couple of the larger financial companies, and they left the mortgage companies to rot. So you have to have a very healthy real estate market to have the economy healthy. I mean, a large portion of the population invests in real estate as their primary investing tool. So it's definitely certainly an essential and vital part of a thriving economy. Absolutely. So, and I also do think it's an indicator. You can see how it moves from, it's kind of the way it would work would be, what's happening in LA is then going to happen in New York and then going to spread to Jersey. And it's kind of how it pans out normally. So, but yeah, I think it's an absolute vital part of the economy.
So are these the money, these trillions of dollars, is where is that money going? Like, cause I'm not, a $1,200 check. I don't think I'll, see it for a long time. And apparently it's like not even just a straight out check. You have to like, it's not like they're giving you a check and it's free money. Where's all this money? Where's all this money going? Basically, is it going into like these disaster loans? Like where is it? Where are we going to see it?
I mean, big pieces of it are going through those programs. So I can tell you nearly every small business in America, if they haven't been, should be applying for the payroll protection plan loans. They by all appearances, they look like they're going to be a phenomenal relief to the economy over the long term. The issue with it is that, like Aaron said when we first started today, is that like anything the government does, it's sort of fumbling through it. So the banks have really no guidance on how to handle them, how to deal with the applications. They were hesitant to get involved in the first place because of all the blowback they had in dealing with the bailouts and the financial crisis. So, but I think once it's up and running and as those checks start to flow to small businesses to be able to continue to employ people and bring people back onto payroll and reopen their businesses as the quarantines get lifted and so forth, these shutdowns, I think you're going to see that start to cycle through that way. Keeping people working was really the major impetus for this, right? And to keep employers to have their staff stay on, keep their teams together and all that, so if there are businesses out there and you haven't made these applications, get on it.
Yeah, where does a business start? Like, where's the first step? Where should they go in order to get the ball rolling?
So that's going to be you want to check with the bank at which you have your business banking relationship, right? So generally it's SBA or preferred lenders. They're expanding that to a certain degree, but most banks, unless you're not a pre-existing customer, are not going to have you take your application. Mm-hmm. But that's where you go. So, if you bank at a particular bank, that's where you make your application to. They all have different systems now in place to do that. These portals have opened up and they're starting to take at least preliminary applications and then do the follow-up with the additional paperwork. But a lot of this is touch and go, like they're feeling their way through it. Even after you make your application, they're saying it's going to be weeks before the money starts to hit once you're approved. And then at that point, then you have time to then spend it. And where are we going to be in 3 to 4 weeks? I don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah, I wish
it's changing daily, right?
Yeah. All I know is from I had relatives that were dealing, in 2008, dealing with the the real estate crisis, saving their homes, dealing with mortgages, getting relief that way. All I remember from that is like keep a paper trail because the government is not. Like they're gonna lose your paperwork. They're gonna you got to keep copious notes. You got to keep duplicates, triplicates of everything you're doing, and you just have to stay on it. So like it's not like they're just gonna. It's not a walk in the park. And I mean the conspiracy theorists out there might say that they kind of set it up that way on purpose so that you'll just kind of give up. But if what I've learned from other people's experiences with that is that if you just stay on it, you keep copies of everything, take notes on who you're talking to, and just jump through. You got to jump through all of the friggin' hoops, but you better start jumping now because, everyone is going to be in line at some point waiting for this to kind of happen,
Well, without a doubt. If you have a banking relationship, now is the time to basically press upon that relationship and have them bring you through it and follow everything. Like a lot of my clients are telling me they're submitting the initial applications that the banks are making available, but they don't get confirmation after it's submitted. Mm-hmm. So now you're in the digital, la la land. You don't know if your application's been submitted or you can hear back from someone or what's happening. So you just got to keep following up with your points of contact. And just like you said, you got to be diligent.
None of the banks are equipped for this. I mean, if you look at, Bank of America was a good example. If you watch Twitter on Friday, when this thing opened up, Bank of America was trending for declining to take applications from banking relationships. People like with hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank for Bank of America as a business customer, like, nope, we're not taking your application. We're only taking applications from those who hold debt service with us, who have loans with us. So Bank of America was trending on Friday. Over the weekend, they opened up for all their business relationships, but so many banks were only working with existing clients on this and still are. It's a mess because we don't know where things are. Like I've applied, and I went through a local bank, but I'm getting negative communication from the bank. And then I feel bad that I'm harassing them because at the end of the day, I don't feel it's their fault, even though I'm like, hey, I want answers, but so do 6,000 other people in local Monmouth County small bank. I'm not mentioning names because I don't want anybody else going there.
Find it yourself.
It's between that and between the EDA loans and between the SBA.gov, there's so much information out there that people just need to find a good source and, nail down some time to really figure out how to manipulate this. I know the CPAs a lot of the accounting firms are on top of it. I'm on top of it. Law firms are on top of it, and it's just really apply for everything. It seems like is what the method is right now and see what you can get at the end of the day. That's what a lot of people are doing is just applying everywhere for everything that comes out and then seeing what shakes out in the end. And then you're getting, hundreds of thousands of millions of requests for the same thing that might not even be worthwhile at this point.
Don't just be sitting there sipping your, your Coronatinis or your Quarantinis and like just taking a back seat. Like if you're involved, if you have a business, if you have any type of business, you got to get on top of this stuff now. I've seen definitely a divergence between, people that could do kind of this kind of stuff, talk on Zoom, have meetings, kind of what you guys were saying as far as closings, being able to at least digitally communicate. A lot of businesses are still working. The service industry is getting hit, obviously, the super hard, and it really sucks, seeing a lot of friends and relatives kind of being hurt by this and super unsure of what to do or where to go. But it's on the flip side of that, it's interesting to see that people are kind of adapting where they can adapt. Service industry, I can't get my nails done. I can't go to a bar. Obviously, those things are in trouble. If you do have a hair salon or a nail salon, please, check out these loans, check out this disaster relief. But at the same time, I'm hopeful that it's a sign to see that some parts of the economy are still moving forward. They're adapting to what needs to happen, so that once I've told this to Aaron before, like once this is all kind of in some ways behind us, I could sit down and buy Aaron a beer in person at my favorite brewery, restaurant, or bar, to just kind of get the that part of the economy kind of still moving along.
Yeah, we shouldn't talk about hair salons with these two guys. With
Barber?
I was waiting for the joke. I was waiting for the joke.
All I need is the squeegee, baby. I'm good.
That's it, man. That's it.
Gillette stock is good.
How, Aaron? Have your clients been? As far as this week goes, is there any kind of general questions you're getting, from them, or is it kind of across the board?
Yeah, man, we're kind of on the business side. We've spoken with everybody and we stay in touch with everybody. Everybody's kind of just trying to adapt, and there's so many restaurants coming back online and trying to adapt with just the new way of being. And the retail shops are the ones that are still hurt because we've got Amazon at the click of a finger, and the delivery services are busier than ever. Between Wayfair, Amazon, or anything else, I'm sure are absolutely nuts. They're at my house at least twice a day. So the small retail is the one that's really going to get hurt, and we're spending a lot of time supporting the local restaurants and putting GoFundMe's out. There's GoFundMe's out there for restaurant workers. Forget all these other little local retail shops. I mean, for them to come back online again is going to be so tough. Yeah. I feel bad for what they're going to have to go through to get back business up and running, because people are adapting to this new way. And while everybody was busy with Amazon before, hopefully we'll all get out and, shop more local than ever when we get out of this. But we're going to be stuck further at home, because I don't know if this is true or not. I wasn't watching the governor, but I think he closed the county parks and the state parks today to continue our social distancing, and a lot of the boardwalks are closed. I mean, he's putting us all on the sidewalk in traffic.
Yeah.
It's like in traffic, that's the only place you're allowed to walk right now is, Garden State Parkway. You can go for a walk.
There's plenty of room on the parkway if you want to go for a walk.
No, don't take that advice if you're watching.
Yeah.
Do not walk on the parkway. Do not do that.
Counselor, anything.
There's definitely kind of what I touched on before too. There's going to be an evolution as far as businesses. There's certain businesses that I would go to buy certain things because I don't want to buy everything off of Amazon. But there's businesses where they don't have, say, an e-commerce site set up or a way of ordering online and then going to pick it up. And I think these are the kind of things that businesses are going to have to start thinking about. Is everything's different now. Like it's not. It's we're going to try to make it as going back to normal as much as possible, but everything going forward, you're going to have to kind of think a little bit differently as far as how people are going to be approaching purchasing things, where they're going to be going, how many people are going to be in your store, and is there a way to kind of order it online and then pick it up? But as far as I just want to say, thanks a lot, guys, for sitting down and explaining some of this stuff to a dullard like me. It really kind of helps a lot, just to kind of, I hope it helps people at home to kind of think about these things if they have small businesses, and, how to kind of really rethink how they're going to be approaching this stuff going forward. Joe, do you have any final words before we wrap this up?
Just try to sift through the noise. There's almost an overwhelming amount of information. Like even just me, I'm getting probably 50 or 60 emails a day with people proposing this, proposing that. This is where you can apply for that. It's almost too much. Mm-hmm. What I would say is, if you have relationships, whether it's with your accounting professionals, your attorneys, any of your professional advisors, your mortgage person, people who are out there and doing this stuff, get in touch with them. But you can, through those relationships, figure out the best way through it. If you just look at it as a whole, it's almost too much noise. You can almost become paralyzed, from taking any action at all. But you should be taking steps to get through all this. Don't just sit by and watch it blow past you. That's probably the best advice I can give people.
Evan, what are your final words on all this?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Joe 100%. In these weird and trying times, you have to lean on the professionals that quite very simply know what the hell they're doing. That's really what it comes down to, because it's a complete overflow of information, and I'm certainly not one to take sides with the government, but you have to look at it this way too, because they're rolling out these plans and these stimulus packages and all these payroll things and everything Aaron and Joe were talking about. They've been forced to do that in a matter of basically in a matter of 2 weeks. I mean, think about how that's staggering. I mean, think about how long when Trump introduced the different tax laws. Think about how long they had to roll that out. Mm-hmm. I mean, they had 6 months to a year to put that in place, so all the accountants could wrap their head around it and train on it and understand it. We've now been thrust into this legitimately in a matter of 2 weeks. So I'm sympathetic to them in that aspect, and all the banks that are getting overflowed, and even in our industry too, get calls on an hourly basis, like, hey, I want to refi, I want to do this, I don't want to pay my mortgage, I want, we get it all. Mm-hmm. So I agree with Joe 100%. Just try to sift through the BS, if you will, and lean on your referral partners, your professionals that and have them kind of carry you through these weird times.
Aaron, what do you got to say?
No, I just got to say thank you to Evan and Joe for being good partners, good professionals. If anybody does want to refinance, or you still have a job and you want to buy a house, you got to call Evan first and get the ball rolling on your mortgage before you think about going shopping, just to make sure everything is all in line. And Joe, with his multi-state experience here, it's interesting that he's got that perspective. I kind of, to see what's going on between the two states just over a bridge there on Staten Island. So I appreciate you both. I'm hopeful we'll move forward and move out of this. I turned 40 yesterday, Sunday.
You forgot already?
I'm allowed to forget now. I'm with you guys.
Man. Welcome to the club.
My daughter's still coming to work with me every day. We're making it all happen, and we'll keep making it happen. And hopefully we can all get together and have a party the next couple of weeks. Would be great.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you both. Thank you all. Joe Asterita from Bonfiglio and Asterita Attorneys at Law, Evan Beach from EPM Equity Prime Mortgage, and of course the legendary Aaron Levine from LG Insurance Agency. Guys, thanks for coming on here. This has been Totally Local Podcast, talking about Monmouth and Ocean County news. We're getting through this together, quarantinis and all. Please support your local businesses. Get a pickup, drive through, drive around, do something. Get it working. We're all getting it work. Thanks guys for all the information. And if you're listening out there, there's a lot of people on this one, so I appreciate that. Like the page, Totally Local. Go to the website, totallylocalpodcast.com, and check us out. Again, guys, thank you very much, and everyone be safe and be well.